Welcome back. As noted earlier in this broadcast, Donald Trump and Ben Carson are running neck and neck for the Republican nomination, according to the latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. There you see that statistical dead heat for the Donald and Dr. Ben. But the real movement involves Carly Fiorina and Marco Rubio, both now tied at 11% for third place. And just a couple of months ago, Fiorina did not even register in the polling. So we need to talk about her big boost. For more, let's welcome in from Newsmax, Washington, Heidi Przybyla, senior political reporter for USA Today, and Gabby Morrongiello, political reporter for the Washington Examiner. Ladies, thanks to you both for your time here on Newsmax Prime. Gabby, everyone expected, or at least the consensus was, based on her most recent debate performance, Carly Fiorina would forge ahead. Do you believe her campaign is disappointed with an 11% showing in the latest poll?
Absolutely not. I think her campaign sees this as the beginning of Fiorina's rise in the GOP field. If anything, this demonstrates how well she can do after the debate performances that she's delivered after the first debate and now after the second debate last week. The week prior. Carly Fiorina has demonstrated that she has strong foreign policy credentials. She is able to deliver sharp and concise answers and battle back and forth between candidates like Donald Trump, the current GOP frontrunner. So, if anything, being at 11% is a godsend for Fiorina's campaign, and I imagine that most of her staffers think that she'll continue to rise. Well,
we'll continue to monitor where she stands in the polls. Heidi, in terms of campaign content, in a recent article, you offered the angle that Fiorina's gender is not necessarily an asset for her. Can you explain?
Well, that's not to say that women are not excited about her candidacy, because I think many Republican women, of course, would say that they are, and even some Democratic women would privately acknowledge that. But, JD, when I talk to some of the most prominent conservative women in the party, like Penny Nance at Concerned Women for America, they say there's two things. First of all, in the primary, Republican women are different from liberal women in that gender, according to her, just does not play as big a role. Of course, they'd be excited about having a woman, but it's not as, doesn't play as big of a role. In a general election, her positions on some of the key issues for women voters, for female economic security, like equal pay, like raising the minimum wage, all of these issues, she's basically indistinguishable from her male counterparts. And if you had her in a general election against another woman, which it's fair to say might very well happen if she were to win the nomination, that gender advantage would basically be neutralized, since she is really no different from other Republicans on those key issues.
Okay, Heidi, I'm following you, I think. But I'm going to move away from gender and what Penny Nance had to say, as you offered here, and just presentation styles. Gabby, contemplating a general election debate, if it comes down to this, between Carly Fiorina and Hillary Clinton, would it be advantage Fiorina?
Absolutely. I would predict, and I would hope so, just given that what we've seen so far in the polls and basically the attitudes that general election voters have towards Fiorina and Clinton. Right now, most voters, most Americans view Hillary Clinton as dishonest, as untrustworthy, and they're looking at Fiorina as a viable different option. She may have some controversial positions on equal pay and other issues related to female empowerment and women's health, but she definitely has that honest, that genuine demeanor that Hillary Clinton lacks and is struggling with in her campaign so far.
A little more than a minute remains, and Heidi, I'm interested in your take on this. A lot of Republicans think that Carly is the perfect antidote to the Democrat Party's so-called war on women. But do you believe the Democrats are going to try and cast Fiorina as a female Mitt Romney?
I think that others in her party are already doing that a bit with her record on HP. She's coming into a new period here of scrutiny, as you mentioned in the intro. Many people didn't even know who she was prior to this debate. Now they do know who she is, and they're going to learn more. And so I think they'll absolutely use that narrative if she were to ever make it to a general. But of course, I disagree with Gabby. I don't think that she's going to make it to the general. I think we're doing the same thing that happened in 2008, the same thing that happened in 2012, which is that the Republican the Republican primary voters flirt with a lot of different candidates before they decide on basically the establishment consensus candidate. That's why we don't have a President Herman Cain. That's why we don't have a President Newt Gingrich. And I think we're already seeing the candidate who could be the alternative to Jeb rise, and that is Marco Rubio.
Well, we'll see about that. To be continued, ladies. Heidi Przybyla and Gabby Morrongiello. Ladies, you have our thanks, and Newsmax Prime continues after this.